Hello, 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 hello. Happy Friday, everyone. Good morning, Sterling. Sterling, you didn't suggest that I'd be a good libertarian candidate? Ugh, Sterling. Sterling. By the way, if you're going to try to mess with the markets, do not mess with the treasuries because A, they're the treasuries, and B, they're way too big. Okay, see, that's you got to try to manipulate something, and I'm not suggesting anybody manipulate anything, but people will try. You got to work with the smaller markets, like lean hogs. Just go after lean hogs or the coffee. You could probably do the coffee market too. Maybe eggs. Good morning. Happy Friday and technically Veterans Day is tomorrow, but today we're celebrating it. But happy Veterans Day. Thank you for bringing that up. Patrick, I don't know why. Why won't this work? I did this, but it won't change the background on that. That's the problem. That's the problem I'm having. We're stuck with the gray background. So MJ, if you're listening, uh, I'm stuck with the gray background. So what color font? Black didn't work so well. So what color should I make? Since I'm stuck with the gray background, what color should I make the text or anybody else? Let me know in the comments. But thank you. We'll use. What else do we have going on? Good morning, Jacob. Good morning, Anissa. What else? Who else? Who else? Who else? Hey, good morning. Then I'd have to pay for the rights of X Christmas music, and I'd have to, unless I guess there's some stuff that's, you know what? Even videos when I used old stuff, and I used to own the rights to that, but years ago. Now the company's coming back because I don't own the rights anymore and demonetizing all the old videos. It's just a joke on friggin' this. It's like, oh, we're because of 10 seconds of the intro, we're demonetizing your whole video. It's absolutely a joke on YouTube. So there won't be any Christmas music, even if I'd like to. This stuff and the royalty stuff is just ridiculous. Even if you pay for it, when I had to, it's just nuts. Good morning, Tony. Like when I paid for this intro, for about 3 straight weeks, I had to go back and forth with them because it was on more than one channel and saying, no, I bought it. Here's my license, blah, 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 blah. Just ridiculous. Good morning, Royal Palms. Red or green? Well, it's both red and green for Christmas. Red and green. You were my, but you I didn't see myself mentioned. Was I mentioned, Sterling? Was I mentioned? Let's see. Did you tag me? No, I don't see it, Sterling. I don't see it. Very disappointing, Sterling. Very, very disappointing. Bob's a celebrity member, yeah, but you can't always have a celebrity president. PTP on Rumble. I don't think I can stream yet from the platform I use. I'll have to double check if Ecamm will let me stream yet to Rumble. Hey Eric. Hey hey Jacob. I'm a graphic designer. Would be more than happy to try to help you out, but I need to know some specifics, software, etc. Sure, Jacob. Email me support at Path Trading Partners. I can and I stink at this kind of stuff, and I don't have a lot of time to dedicate to it. But if somebody wants to give me a hand, you know, I'd really welcome it. I would really welcome it. Just like Sterling has helped with moderating everything and put the news in here. Because the more we can reach and anything you can make to help the channel better, and this is all now just about donations and everything else. But anything anybody can donate, even some time to help me make the channel, because I want to reach as many people as possible and get some stuff out there that's not crap. If you think it's crap, then you don't have to tune in. But you know what? I at least think it's a good counterpoint to a lot of stuff that's out there, and it teaches people at least one way to manage reward and risk. And I think Sterling learned that he applied it with the prop stuff, and then he learned that he needs to keep his own rules. Was yesterday both. It was both. The 30-year Treasury auction was a long tail and stunk, and it was Powell. Close the effing door. Close the effing door. That's probably. I wish that would be more like the press conferences. You know, I wish Powell would drop a couple f-bombs during the press conference when people ask him stupid questions. Now then I might become a short-term Fed. Uh, I might like the Fed in the short term. But I'm not, again, if anybody's heard my rants, I've been about getting rid of the Fed for years, even before Bernanke. I was talking about getting rid of the Fed during Greenspan. So this has not been a new stance for me. We had Logan speaking earlier, but nothing really on economics. We got Bostic, I guess, speaking now. These are preliminary numbers of Michigan consumer sentiment. Watch the inflation expectations. Okay, the current is this. It's expected to come in line at 4.2. The 5 years expected to come in at steady at 3. Just keep an eye on that. And then current conditions, and then sentiment. But remember, these numbers will get revised in a couple weeks. I have to check the exact time because we have Thanksgiving in there. So that's about it. We got Bostic speaking tomorrow on Saturday. A Fed member working on the weekend. We had the sell-off yesterday where we triggered doubles patterns this morning. We'll get to that in a second. But you see pretty strong bounce back across the board. There's not a lot of red. A little Meta, a little Tesla. Tesla breaking down yesterday, really nice. Energy, real estate, utilities, and technology leading. Let's just do a quick little, yep, still that way. The only thing, it's a rotation out of consumer defensive. Fed watch, nothing changing here, nothing we need to talk about there. Fear and greed with the close yesterday, still in fear mode. All right, in terms of earnings, I think Sterling put in something yet about Plug, which got decimated. Nothing today. I'm not even going to waste my time with this. What else do we have? Eric, I've been watching since trader interview where you explained your position as a money. I thought it was small money getting my face ripped off. Market maker. Okay, thank you. Thank you for tuning in so long. Oh, we got Bostic speaking now. Oh, let's just see. I'm just checking. All right, he's restricted. Yeah, thank you, Tony. And I see Sterling's putting that in there. So if you want to know what Bostic's speaking, we'll see if the market has any reaction now. Remember, I said yesterday I was watching for it to come back with the 50 on any pullback with the rising rotation zone. We hit that area and rotated back up. We triggered a 15-minute double bottom at 7 a.m. with the close. Pause, little pullback. Breakout right to the first target with the pause. And we know how Sterling loves the first target. I'm actually just putting the stop on this side. 43.66 area on a closing basis is the farthest away stop. But if you really substantially start breaking below this 43.70 area, won't be good. Specifically 43.72, 43.73. The next upside target is 43.87, 43.91. You see also this is into, closing here, into a clear path move. Technically, the clear path ended right at 43.91. The target for the double is 43.91.50. The breakdown zone is right around 43.89. Let's take a look at that on the 1 hour, and that's on the 15-minute. You have a prior breakdown zone there. If we get through 43.91 and have a stronger bounce back pattern, the next key area is 43.93, 43.94. Right, this is the little base with the snap sell off closer to the open yesterday, bounce back, and then this is the Powell and bond auction. Boom, forming the overnight double. So that's where we sit right now. Again, I gave all the key levels. You can use the harmonics on the right hand on any pullback. So watch the harmonics. So I'm using the low at 5 a.m. to the high that hit the first target area from 7. Bostic email. Oh, thank you. Email is off. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you. All right. And also, remember, and I'm hoping everybody is starting to do this for themselves. I just put on the retracement all the way to yesterday's low. And look, 62.5, right at that final target area. So even if we pause and meander around today, this is going to be a key area. As long as the double's not, well, this is going to be a key area, even if the double's invalidated because it's 62.5. But are you starting to see how we had that 15-minute breakdown zone? We have the 62.5. We have the double target. And just above it, we also have the 1-hour breakdown zone. That's a very key area to watch for on any rally. The bigger picture, sorry, it's a little messy right now. Let me really zoom in. If we get a snapback close above 62.5, everybody knows what I'm going to be looking for some upside continuation. But in order to really continue the pullback, we need to get a key close below 43.50, 43.51 area. We still have daily cycles turning down. We still have weekly cycles going up. So far in the bigger picture, if you look at this multi-day run-up, this would still qualify as more of a sideways correction. If we start closing below the rotation zone, it would start qualifying as a pullback correction. The NASDAQ on the 1-hour basis triggered the double bottom and has already gone through the first and hit the second target. So the invalidation point farthest away would be 15,251. I really wouldn't want it to retrace that much and wouldn't give it that much room after hitting the second target. But the final area is 15,337 to 15,341. Looking at the retracement harmonics, we're between the 50 and the 62.5, but the key closing area you're going to want to watch for should just continue is 15,361. So there we go. On a pullback area, just use the harmonics on the right hand bottom. So as this ratchets up, ratchet it up. But the major support area I'll be looking into if we pull back into the open is 15,280. That's major support. Minor support's about 15,300. Sterling does not recommend using the micro on the 2-year yields. You have to be a little more wider with stops on that one. I prefer the 10-year micro yield. Or if you're doing the 2-year, you got to reduce your position size even more and use a little wider stops. And that's a component of learning a market and the volatility characteristics of it. So that's where we sit with the NASDAQ. Dow, don't even need to do anything in here. This was a valid mini double just to show everybody. This was a valid mini double from overnight. From overnight, technically, I can fine tune that, but you can see here running up, coming back down. This was not another double. I'm just watching in the Dow the key support coming in the open at 34. 3440 to 3450. The resistance area, I'm using the big from the high back on Wednesday to the lows for the harmonics. 34,130, 34,164 on a closing basis. The Russell, what you see is technically it was a double that essentially the double stalled out at the second target, came back forming a triple. Remember, though, Russell's the last thing personally that I'm looking at for anything bullish. Russell did not close below the 62.5, but I'm watching still this 1691 area. We closed below that. I'm watching for a retest of the lows from the end of October. If you're looking for upside, I would just use the retracement now levels from this sell-off. I'd put on harmonics here, and you see stalling at the 12.5. We break through this. My next target area would be roughly about 1710 to 1712. I'm just going to keep teaching more and more on this channel. VIX did not, we're not close to 16 yet, even with that bounce yesterday. Couldn't even get a close above 1550. So on the minor level, 1550 at this point. Other than that, just going to be keeping an eye on intraday to see if this continues to pull back and we get into any more bullish mode. We could be turned into choppy bullish or just choppy, by the way, since it's Friday. The DAX closing above the 62.5, little gap down pullback, but I'm watching for another push higher. The only thing against that is it could take a bit of time since we have daily cycles at the top. All right. So I mean, unless we start really breaking down below this 150 area, then I'll reassess that. Now, this was a sloppy on the notes, the full notes contract, not the yield, against the rotation zone. You see how it caught on the rotation zone. Triggered on this. Remember, I was watching this for pullback levels, but this is interesting because the 10-year micro yield did not trigger. And that's the one that had the nicely formed double. It confirmed, but didn't, and it confirmed not yesterday, but today. And look at the reaction with the rotation zone. So that's why it's so handy that we have these micro yield contracts now, because it actually can help assess the trigger point. Because also cycles getting the bottom on the notes. The bottom on the notes. So we could easily see still a rotation back up. The 10-2s, little bounce yesterday off the second target, looking for a more suitable bottoming pattern in here, nothing yet. Dollar index closing now above that 105.20 level. Going to watch for any pullback to see if that holds. Daily cycles getting to the top. Weekly cycles still trying to bottom. So I'm going to be reassessing this going into next week based off today's price action and close. The crude, the good old crude sideways correction coming out of oversold conditions. Still daily cycles at the bottom, but major overhead resistance around 78 to 78.50. So no strong bullish play just yet. This is a minor, very minor 49er double. But this against rotation zones. And if that would trigger, see, it would just take you back to this key area with the first target. So that's a very aggressive upside. It would probably have to be traded on a breakout. Gold. Yesterday hit the second target in the 200. Today retesting. Now, gold has a valid mini double bottom. Might be invalidated today, but so far we're holding this key level. The only thing that would make me, again, watching for the bounce play just yet would be a move with the follow-through close above 1971.5. Again, this might still be valid going into next week. If we continue to sell off and keep going to closer to 1937 area, the potential double would be invalidated. So that's the only thing that shifts it from the pullback level. We're getting to daily cycles at the bottom, but weekly cycles still rolling over. Remember, this could be a 2 to 3 week. This is the first week. This could be a 2 to 3 week pullback in gold. So that's why I need something to trigger to the bullish side before I consider being bullish again. But long term, I'm still bullish. Well, thank you for still tuning in and saying hello, Options 22. What's the volume like on the micro? it's halfway decent for a micro contract. I mean, I believe it's the highest traded micro yield of the yield contracts. I could be wrong with that, but I believe it is. Let's just jump to some others. By the way, this is so silver. Still no close yesterday, but watch today to see. This is a channeling double. It's really turned into a channeling double. So I'd look at these. If it does trigger for pullback levels, it would not be a great short. There's Sterling just also confirmed to Rich from his perspective, the volumes there. But is it the highest volume? Wonder if anybody on the micro yields comparing. There's a few micro yields. Is it the highest one on those? I know it's not the highest volume of all micro contracts, but is it the highest volume of all the micro yield contracts? I think it is. That's my favorite if you're going to trade, whether it be the treasuries, the mini treasuries, or the micro yields. My favorite is the 10-year period. Yen, so far nothing new with the JGBs, but remember this. Remember, it's still November. We closed above the 62.5, stalling out that 87.5 right now. So I want to really see if we do take out this 152 area. 153.50 is the next target higher. This is going to be fascinating if that does break, though. Euro, not much still. We're going to have to see if this finishes the double or not because of the channels really outweighing the double at this point. So any longs would have tight stops from my perspective. I don't even need to talk about the pound. Nothing going there. So let's get to the spiders. Yesterday, the big outside reversal bar. We have to go now. We're getting finally a pausing bar, hopefully. But from my perspective, if we do roll over, we're trading 435.70. The major support is yesterday's close, 433.84 to yesterday's low, which is coming in 433.40. So that's where I'd be watching for support zones. If you're looking for targets, because we're going to gap up this morning. This is, again, use the harmonics. So I'd be using 435.93 to 436, 436.57, so right around that 456.50 area. And that's also near a key breakdown zone right here. See right here? You got a key breakdown zone in here, right in this area. And that's between the 50, 62.5. You close above 436.57. Everybody should know the next target's higher. I would not skip 437.20, at least for a stop raise, and 437.84. That's how I would structure that going into. If you did break yesterday's lows, this is also a great area to use. You're going to get a pausing bar, but this is a great area to use the forward harmonics to yesterday's pausing bar if you're trading intraday. So below yesterday's lows, 432.75, 432.12. That's how I would structure that. The Qs, same thing, gap up, the old gap-a-rooney. So first thing, 371.82 would be the downside, besides using your mind harmonics, would be the downside. 370.07's closing, 369.57 is lows, would be the two things I'd use there. Right here, we're 372.19 would be my first target to the upside. 372.84, next target and key closing level. Above that, 379.49, 374.15. And when I say you can use other targets before that, I'd use it around 371.50, besides going with shorter term price action. But you see, 371.50 area, around 37.5 harmonic, you had a little pause area here. Key close before the resumption on the 15-minute. The 25 is a key high right around there. So that's how you can use the price action with the harmonics to fine-tune levels on there. But that's where we sit with those two. Tesla breakdown. breakdown, shakedown street, close into the gap, not yet a gap fill, but it's still shooting for that gap fill, 205.66 technically, and continued price action down. Remember, we have the longer pattern trigger, and Tesla has been able to get much of a traction going. But before we really need to get overly short-term bearish, we still need a close below 206.18. To the upside, you just use the retracement harmonics like this. And key bounce areas would be 211.60, 214, then 216.50. There you go. What else have I missed? What else have I missed? You're welcome, Heinrich. Thank you. 10-year micro is the most traded. Thank you, thank you, thank you. I really appreciate everybody in here giving me the information. Okay. You trade. Remember, we can't give out trading results. But Autodesk. Well, I mean, we can't give out trading. Remember, you have to. I do like to manage. You're doing the Condor, and I believe it was off these key levels, 185, 225. So that is fair, because this thing could stay in this again. If you don't know how to trade Condors, do not do that. Don't ever try to put on. So I mean, anybody can Google what a condor is, or an iron condor, or a butterfly, or an iron butterfly, whatever. But if you don't understand how to structure them and how to trade it, don't just put any trade on because somebody says, "Hey, I'm going to do an iron condor on this." This is the kind of setup I really love for condors or butterflies. Condors are a little more lenient, but if you don't know when I point stuff out, that does not mean I'm recommending a specific trade. What I'm showing people is price action that I love to look for to set up those kind of trades. So remember, and you always have to manage risk. And just because I say I love it, also, earnings are Tuesday the 21st, so you're going to want to keep that in mind. I don't know the time frame you structured your Condor in, but you're going to want to you're definitely going to want to take in earnings, okay? Because you can get gaps and quick moves. So you're going to have to know how, if you're putting a Condor on against this, you're going to have to know how to manage that position with earnings this close. I just want to state that. You don't just put on a position and walk away from it. Especially with condors or butterflies. You're welcome, Anissa. All right, and I'm glad you put on a very small position. Just know, not next week, but the following week. So this would be Tuesday the 21st, 2 days before Thanksgiving. You might want to, especially even take something off the table, or depending on how we've shifted, look at your implied volatility projections to see where it could gap up or down to with implied volatility bands, and look to see, and therefore you can see how that would affect your Condor position should it gap up or down with earnings. How to close a Condor? That the best way, close to expiration. Yeah, I'd really suggest closing the whole thing. You can do some things with leaving aspects on, but that's not for beginners. And I agree. I'd recommend, or trade. You know what? If you have a larger account and you want to trade it with like one lot, I have no problem with that. But if you have a smaller account, I'd recommend what Jacob said, is the paper trading first. So thank you, everybody. But this is the kind of, because look, even with your earnings stuff, now essentially at one point this is going to break out. Autodesk is going to break out. But you also have overhead resistance. You have key support even below, so it's going to take a lot to even if it breaks out or down. Look at the wider bands. That's why I really like this. So you can manage a position, all right, even with wider bands. Now, at some point, it's going to fizzle and it's going to break out or down. But until that happens, I mean, you got to take that into account. All right. Thank you, everyone. Sorry, I went into the open. I got sort of into Ramble on Rose teaching moment. Key support. Looks like we're selling off into the open. Let me just check this. A pretty substantial reversal bar. No, not a double. Let's just check the tick. So I'm leaning towards a choppier day now. A pretty strong opening, but very fast reversal in the tick. I'm leaning towards a choppier day for right now. Going in here. NASDAQ, little bounce and a snapback. We already have the final targets, the upside, but this could turn into a choppier Friday. Really pay attention to the numbers coming out in 25 minutes. And I shall talk to everyone later. Bye for now.